Well, they say you're not an employee.
Oh, well, I'm not. I mean, I got hired and everything. I did all my paperwork, and I was supposed to start this past Monday.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to Grim. This has got to be one of the most embarrassing displays of just lying and cowardice on this show. Dr. Phil is going to be asking this woman about her family, and she is basically going to make up every single aspect of her side of the story. It is quite insane to see it all unravel, so make sure you keep watching until the very end. But to give you some introduction, this woman actually divorced from her husband, who she has some kids with, or a kid with, I believe, and she has been having a pretty rough time, but actually had to move in with her ex-husband and his new wife, who is basically the stepmom of this child as well, and there was a lot of toxicity there, obviously. But without further ado, let's get into it and see how fit she is to be a mother.
You just heard Megan say that being in your son's life is her #1 priority. Nothing is more important. There's not anything she wouldn't do. True or false?
False.
So the dad claims right away that this woman is not saying what she really thinks when it comes to her kid. She says that she will do anything to be there for him and to have a good life and be a good mother for this kid. But obviously that's not the case. She's actually had to be kicked out of their house twice, cannot keep a job. She actually lies about her job later on, we're gonna see. But it's pretty clear this woman is not focused on this kid right now because she barely has her own life together.
If she was so worried about being Avery's wife, in the past 2 years, she would have completed a 1-hour parenting class and completed a substance class.
And apparently she was asked by a judge when it came to like the custody battle for this kid once they got divorced. The dad actually won custody, and the mother would gain some parental rights back if she just completed 2 1-hour classes. But she has not done that in the past year, so this statement about her, quote, giving it her all and trying to be her best self for this kid is just not accurate at all.
The only thing holding her from seeing Avery and not having supervised visitations is herself.
And to me, you're gonna see this dad is pretty well grounded. You could tell he's definitely more fit to be a parent in this current situation, because this lady, when you're about to see her talk, she stutters a lot and she just has real trouble stringing along these sentences because it's almost like she's making up lies on the spot. And you know, there's good liars and bad liars, and then there's people that just feel like they're going out of their way to be terrible at lying somehow, and this is one of those people. It's quite embarrassing.
Well, you say that they block you from trying to talk to him even on FaceTime.
Right, they have on at times. I've asked multiple times for if I could call.
And this woman claims that she often tries to get in FaceTime calls with her son because she misses him and wants to see him because she's now been kicked out of that house twice. A house that she shouldn't even be living in. Like, how weird of a situation is that, moving in with your ex-husband and his new girl? Like, that's their family. Let them do that thing by themselves. But moving on, she claims that they deny her access to even FaceTime calling her son, which would be so messed up. But before you get too riled up and get on this woman's side, let's expose her first lie. Check this out.
In the past 98 days, the requests to speak with Avery have been 26. And out of the 26, you have actually spoken to him 19 times.
So, of course, Dr. Phil's team is given a lot of information, and they were given access to their text history because I'm sure the father saves everything. I would if you were pretty much stuck, forced to raise a kid with a crazy person like this lady is. But she is asked to speak to the kid only 26 times in the past, like, over 3 months, so that's pretty sad. Obviously, she's not giving it her all trying to be involved in this kid's life, but she actually was able to speak to him 19 times, so clearly they're not denying him that much. And the 7 times that she couldn't call him, it's because he was either at a sleepover at a friend's house or doing extracurricular activities like the dad said. He does karate and some other things. So obviously they are really trying to make this work, but this lady is just not giving any effort, and then now she's trying to make them look bad on TV, which is just disgusting. Like, these people are being good parents for this kid, and that's what he needs right now.
I'm pretty sure I've talked to him more than 26 times in 3 months. Or I've at least tried, and there have been times where I haven't gotten a response back.
And her tells for these lies is, one, she's obviously stuttering, like really trying to think of what to say because she's flabbergasted that Dr. Phil actually did this research. And I don't know why she is, though, because if you've seen this show before, that's what he does. But she's also swiveling back and forth in her chair, just like awkwardly sitting through this thing. And meanwhile, the guy below her must just be thinking like, how did I have a kid with this woman? Why did I make this grave mistake? Like, I love my son, but this is just terrible. This is so cringy.
You actually lived with your ex and his current fiance. You moved in with them?
And even Dr. Phil is kind of weirded out by this situation. Like, I guess it's nice that they were trying to help you out, but you actually agreed to move into your ex-husband's house now that he has a new fiance. I said wife earlier, but apparently she's just a fiance. But still, that is so weird and just infringing on so many boundaries that you should have after you get a divorce. They've done it twice, actually, and we're about to figure out why she wasn't able to make it work both times. Now her story changes, and they haven't been from the get-go trying to separate her from her son. It's only been since she got kicked out of the house for the second time. But what she's failing to mention is that the reason she got kicked out of the house the second time is because she was coming home pretty much absolutely wasted every day, and they found out she was taking Adderall to just stay up all the time. So obviously they don't want that going on in their house. They kicked her out pretty swiftly, but now she's playing the victim card, like, they kicked me out, they don't let me talk to my son. Like, maybe because you have some serious issues, which has obviously been a history of issues because you have lost custody of your son and you had to take a couple classes for that type of stuff. And this lady just does not have her act together, yet she is trying to throw her ex under the bus, and I don't even get what her point is of being on this show. Like, you obviously got to know you're about to get torn in half by Dr. Phil. So yeah, clearly she was just kind of going through a really hard time, but they could not support her through that, so she was not allowed to live with them anymore. And I think that was the main thing that triggered her and made it to where now she actually has to put in effort to see her son. She can't just say that she lives in the same house as him and that counts as being a mom. She actually has to put in effort, and that includes bettering herself so that she can be a good mother for this kid. But she has not done that. She did not do any of those hour-long classes that the judge appointed her a year ago, and that should just say everything about this situation.
Were you, the second time you were there, were you sneaking people in the bedroom window?
I don't recall doing that.
She is just the worst, like the textbook definition of a terrible liar. Yeah, Dr. Phil, I don't really recall doing that. Yeah, I guess I don't remember. It's been a rough year, you know? Been crazy, you know, all the stuff going on. It's hard to remember. Like, what is that excuse? Everyone always says, I don't recall it being that way. Like, obviously you don't recall because it didn't exist the way that you think it did. But you know what? I think we should dive into more of her lies. Let's get into her employment because she claims that she's a preschool teacher.
You said you worked at Child's Place Academy, but that place does not exist in your area.
Yikes. So on her resume, she says she works at this place called Child's Place Academy, and she's a preschool teacher, but that does not exist in her area. And then they pretty much looked up every other thing that could possibly share that name, like maybe she was working, you know, in another state somehow. But of course, they called every single thing that looked like Child's Place or Palace or similar to the thing that was on her resume, and none of them said that she has ever worked there.
Children's Palace, yes. I was supposed to start this past Monday, but then when I was contacted about Dr. Phil, that got pushed back.
Oh yeah, Dr. Phil, I actually do work there, but you know, like you wanted to have me on the show, so I can't really like, you know, work and be on the show, but I was supposed to start last Monday, so you're kind of infringing on my paycheck, and I pretty much think you owe me like $1,000 because I do work there, and you're making me miss work, so like that's seriously her reason. Who do you think we are? We are not idiots, woman. You do not work at this place. You have never worked at that place. You don't have a job. You spend all your time going out and partying, and you don't care about your kid. Yet it makes you mad that your husband, or ex-husband I should say, is living a way better life with someone way more stable than you. And that's why you're just trying to rip apart the family for no reason, even though you really aren't spending that much time with your kid.
We actually called that place and talked to them, and they say you're not an employee now or in the future. They don't have any record of you being an employee.
And she doesn't expect Dr. Phil to make the call to the company like he always does that. And of course they said, no, for sure, this lady does not work for us. She never has and she never will. She's a weirdo. Stop asking us, please.
Well, that's interesting because that's not what I discussed with them.
And I don't even get how that's a response, but she says, yeah, that's weird. That's not what I discussed with them. Because we definitely talked about the fact that I was definitely hired and supposed to start Monday. But I was just telling them, like, I'm kind of going to be on Dr. Phil's show, so I can't go on there. Like, dude, your lies are just so idiotic.
Were you taking Caitlin's clothes and wearing them to go out and party?
Well, there was occasions where I would borrow her clothes, yes, but...
Oh, and that is just the weirdest thing, too. Not only do you have your new fiance's crazy ex-girl, who is the mother of their son, like, living with you. That is already a weird situation. But then she goes and steals your clothes so she can go out and party in some nicer clothes. I would be like, dude, move out right now. Do not touch any of my stuff. Like, you are lucky I invited you to live here because that is such a weird situation to put myself in. You are not allowed to steal clothes.
Did you take Caitlin's debit card when you moved out the second time?
Oh, so that I knew that was going to be brought up. And
so I'm going to save you from her long explanation right now, but she actually did take this girl's debit card number, at least, and credit card number. And it was after one of our little spats, I just got mad and I wrote down, you know, the debit card numbers, because sometimes you just have to do that when you get in fights with people. You just have to possibly steal their identity. I guess that was her thinking, but it really was an idiotic choice. But she claimed she wasn't going to use it until this happened.
And I never used it, or I never attempted to use it until I had it logged into my Uber account and accidentally went to the first card that was on there.
Yeah, I accidentally put it in my Uber account and selected it. It's so crazy how it happens like that. I definitely didn't try to steal an Uber ride, Dr. Phil. Can we move on, please? Can we talk about how bad my ex-husband is and how I'm a better mom than this other girl who has cooler clothes than me? Like, she is just crumbling right now, and she already was a terrible liar, but now that they're actually coming with like cold hard evidence of her lying, she is just unable to recover at all. But she claims it was an accident, yet why, number one, did you take her card or at least write her numbers down when you guys got into a little battle? And two, why was it even in your Uber account? That means you were intending to use it at some point. Like, her lies just make no sense, but let's see her try to recover this before we wrap it up.
Well, I had logged it into the Uber account when I first did the card, and I got the information, and then weeks later I had tried to get an Uber and it registered her card first.
And really, it just sounds like when you get in trouble and you know there's no way out of it, but you're just scrambling to think of an excuse. Like, the words she's using don't even make sense. Yeah, that was the first time I did it, and it was when I got the card, I first swiped the card, and I tried to get an Uber, and it automatically, you know, enabled the card. Like, it just is clearly someone who is mentally fried right now from her previous activities that got her kicked out of the house twice, and she is really just unable to have a grasp on reality, but clearly she needs help before she can be a good mother for this kid. And it was a bit of a sad episode, but it also was hilarious to see how bad this woman was at lying and how many receipts Dr. Phil came with. Great job to his team for researching all that stuff. But anyways, that about does it for today's video. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. And as always, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. So close to 500K. I keep saying that, but let's get it. Anyways, show some love on Insta. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace out.